Yeah, so look, I thought another good practice. You know, took the shoulder pads off, shells on today. We'll be back in full pads again tomorrow. But I thought we got a lot accomplished. We worked 2 minute today. Today was 2 minute at the end of the first half. I thought a lot of really good situations came up there. There'll be a lot of good stuff for us to teach off of. And so, look, we just keep coming out here, grinding away, and keep trying to get a little bit better every day. I think we're doing that.
You get a pretty spirited finish in the 2 minutes. What do you think about the offensive execution?
Yeah, look, I thought overall, the offensive execution was pretty good. We were able to get a couple of touchdowns, offensively at the end of the first half. And again, there's a lot that goes into that. It's not just about going and scoring touchdowns. It's trying to, manage the game too. So I thought offensively we did, we did some good things, and yet I think there's some things that we've got to teach off of there that could have negated our ability to score points in that situation. So, but yeah, I thought overall, offensively, I thought we executed pretty well in those situations.
And then
Derek
10
seems
practices
good
in.
in that. I'm sorry.
10 practices in. What would you say you kind of learned about this team?
Well, look, I think we're still building what this team is going to be, but I do think that this team is going to be, and we're going to have a tough, smart, competitive football team. I think that's evident. I think our guys that are out here and they're competing. I think competing at a high level. They're pushing through the dog days of camp, and I think those things are going to pay benefits to us somewhere down the line. So that's what I'd say I noticed out of our group.
Derek seemed sharp in that 2 minute. How'd you feel like he did?
Yeah, I thought he did well. I mean, look, if the offense does well, usually that means your quarterback's operating at a pretty high level, right? I mean, it's a 2 minute drill. So yeah, I thought he handled the situations pretty well. I thought he operated well, and I think, the key for that is having everybody be on the same page with what we're doing, and so in that regard, I thought it was positive.
How you like
some of the few flags on today?
Still couldn't hear you.
Flags.
Yeah. Look, I mean, that's why these guys are out here. I think we had 3 false start penalties, and so, those things are costly, and so we've got to, if we're going to utilize the snap count, then we have to be able to utilize the snap count. That means everybody's got to be disciplined and sit in there and not move until the ball moves. But a holding call on the on screenplay in the 2 minute, so which put us back at 1st and 20. We were able to overcome it, but a lot of times those are killers on a drive, and in particular when you're talking about the end of the first half, when it's 1st and 20 and we're obviously trying to score points, but we're also not trying to give the ball back to our opponent. That becomes a more challenging thing. So the good news is we instructed the officials to put the flag on the field if they see it, so that when we go back in and we watch the tape, everybody sees the flag, everybody knows what the call was, and we get to evaluate, and the officials are in these meetings with us, and we get to see and hear what they saw, why they called it, and then sometimes there's some communication that they say, probably should have let that one go. So, but that's good to have that back and forth communication with the officials. We'll have those guys, not the same crew, but we'll have officials back out here again when we practice against the 49ers. So that'll be good.
Would feel like that on a smart Charles?
Well, look, he's out here competing every day. He's done some things from a special team standpoint to catch our eye, and so I think he's one of these guys that's battling for a roster spot, and battling, whether that be a roster spot on the 53, it'd be on the practice squad. I think that's where he's at, and I think these preseason games will go a long way into kind of dictating where that's at.
Would would you say that the offense, the understanding of the offense is where you hoped it would be 10 practices in? Are you happy with where that, sort of installation development is?
Yeah, and I don't, happy's probably the right word. Satisfied would not be the right word. I think we're always pushing and striving to be better than we are right now, and I think we've got to keep pushing the envelope. I think we can't ever, kind of settle and feel like we've got it. I think we've got to keep pressing the envelope, and once we feel like our guys have a pretty good grasp of what's going on, all right, well, how do we push them a little bit further? How do we put something else on their plate? I want to see exactly how much they can handle. This is the time to find that stuff out. And so I think our offensive staff has done a good job of that. I think, each and every day we got a new little wrinkle, a new formation, a new motion, a new play. I think I'm encouraged by, the progress that we're making, and yet not satisfied yet with where we're at.
This could be a false impression, but it seems like you guys are getting more work and practicing longer. Is that accurate, maybe, from back home to here? Have you guys been able to do a little bit more?
Yeah, I'd say that's probably, an accurate statement in that, back home it's a little bit more challenging when you're having to deal with the heat and the humidity. It makes it a lot more difficult. Guys are, instead of focusing on trying to get better at football, a lot of times they're a little bit in survival mode. And so because of the weather here, I do feel like we've been able to push them a little bit harder for a little bit longer. I wouldn't say it's, leaps and bounds above what, from a volume. But I think our work's been more efficient out here. I think we've been much more efficient with what we've been able to get accomplished, in the time frame that we're allotted, via the CBA rules. So, I think we're getting a lot accomplished.
Is that like an advantage, especially when you are putting in like a new system and you can get maybe a couple extra periods, or maybe work a little bit faster, or not take as many?
Yeah, look, I think every rep counts, so I think, in particular when you're putting in a new offense and you got a lot of new pieces, a lot of new coaches, some new players, a new scheme, being able to get more volume and more reps, allows guys to get a little bit more comfortable with what they're being asked to do. And so, I think that's certainly beneficial, and in particular for the offense and the new guys that we have.
So we didn't see Pete Warner, Peyton Turner, and David Shepard.
All those guys, Pete Warner's got a shoulder, Peyton Turner toe, and Nate Shepard toe.
How are you concerned about a player like DeMario missing extended time?
No. We've had conversations about, look, we got some guys that were in, what was this, practice 9, I think it was, 10 today. I lose count. So I just know today was the day after yesterday and the day before tomorrow, and that's really about what you know when you're in training camp. But guys like DeMario, no, I'm not overly concerned. And I'd be honest with you and say that that DeMario's situation is probably a lot more precautionary on our part, being that we are in training camp. Knowing DeMario, if we were getting ready for a regular season game, I don't think that we'd be missing him out here. So I think part of that's us. And look, I think we've got to judge that based on who the player is. A young player that, is dealing with, some soft tissue discomfort or issue. Those guys really can't afford to miss a lot of time. A guy like DeMario who's proven time and time again that he can go out and function at a high level, and he's functioned at a high level, a lot of times, with things like he has right now. And so that's a long-winded answer to say that, no, I'm not concerned about that.
When
Would
are
a
you
guy
gonna
like Nick
start?
Saldiveri fit the bill of what you said, like a younger
Nick
guy?
Saldiveri would be one of these young players that's trying to make the team, that's trying to prove that he belongs. And so the missed time with a guy like that is critical missed time in his development, And so every day that he misses is a day that he gets, further and further behind. And that's just I would have hit him, but that's just the truth of it. You know what I mean? And so, but it is what it is. And so we've got to be able to, change course and reevaluate where we're at.
When are you going to start looking at the first preseason games, as far as game plan, who you're playing, how much?
Yeah, that'll be sometime, during this week. We're probably not going to divulge any information in terms of who's playing or when they're playing. So we'll kind of keep that in-house. But we'll have a squad out there. But we'll probably start looking at them. Coaches probably sooner in the week. Players not till the end of the week.
Just from a concept perspective, with the new offense, is there a little bit more value in those preseason reps this year than there might be with a more established offense?
Yeah, we'll see. We're getting a lot of good work out here, and we'll see how much, who plays and how much they play and when they play. I think we'll handle that as a coaching staff.
Peyton Turner's toe, is that the same issue he was dealing with last year?
I believe it's the same toe. Again, I'm not going to get into severities or anything I'm not concerned about it right now. And so we'll see how he responds to the treatment. Hopefully it'll be sooner rather than later.
Dennis, other guys who weren't in team drills, Taysom Hill, Tyrann Matthew, Paulson, Debo, Oliudo, were those all scheduled?
The only one that is injury related is a Debo, and he came out here and tried to go. He's got a little bit of groin tightness, so we held him today. The other guys are either vet days or, in Oli's case, a guy that's coming off an injury and part of our management plan for him.
Mason Tippin was a guy that has shown out a lot early. How do you think he's progressed now that the pads have come on?
Yeah, look, I think he's still doing some good things. And I'm certainly not ready to put him in the Hall of Fame yet. But he is a guy that we've certainly noticed and has done some good things. And we'll put him in some preseason games and see how he reacts in those situations. And so I think every day out here, for all these guys, but in particular the undrafted free agents, every day is a valuable day. Every day is an important day. And so these guys that come out here and do something each and every day that grab the attention of the coaching staff and personnel and those people that are doing the evaluating, that benefits these players. So, and he's a guy that's been able to do that. All right, thanks, guys.